Jai Hind, Jai Bharat, and welcome to Dev Talks. This is Aadi Achint. I have with me Mr. or Miss, or I don't know what he's going by right now, but AIM. Thank you so much, sir, for joining in. Namaskar.
थैंक यू फॉर हैविंग मी। जय श्री राम। कैसे हैं आप?
अरे हम बढ़िया हैं सर। जय श्री राम आपको भी।
अरे आपको
आजकल
तो
तो
बोल दिया, हम ऑडियंस को पूछ रहे थे।
अरे ऑडियंस की तरफ से मैं आपको नमस्कार कर देता हूँ। मेरे को ये बताओ व्हाट्स हैपनिंग यार। पहले तो बांग्लादेश, लेट्स टॉक बांग्लादेश फर्स्ट। उसके बाद मेरे को आई वांट टू कनेक्ट बांग्लादेश टू द लार्जर पिक्चर। सो
Look, so I'm going
व्हाट्स
to
योर
be one of those times when I'm going to be unusually positive. You know, there's a saying with casinos, the house always wins. In the subcontinent, India always wins.
Geography always wins, yeah. There's no question about it. But
There's no question about it. अब देखो, sorry to use the word, पर बांग्लादेश की मैया चुदने वाली है।
भाड़ लगने
Okay.
वाली है।
If they behave themselves, India will continue to help them. We're not vindictive, we're not vicious. If they do not behave themselves, understand we suppressed our own industry to help them. We're going to push them over the edge. Okay. If you want to start kicking out your Hindu population, I think it's just a matter of a gazette and letting those 15 million Hindus in. But also think what's going to happen to those 30 million undocumented Bangladeshi laborers in India. And I do not accept this fact that you cannot trace them, they do not have papers. Especially when you're in the lower sections of society, you will always have papers of ration cards and things. Otherwise, just a 15-minute interrogation of where you're from originally, about the village you're from originally, will tell you everything. They would know who the neighbors are, who everybody is. They will not be able to. And these are very simple techniques, boss.
Yeah, yeah.
It takes about what?
Put a Bengali on the job, he'll trace them all out.
He'll trace them all out. You can figure out from the accent itself that somebody's a East Bengali or a West Bengali. Uh, so, even within Bangladesh, Chittagongese is very different from Silheti, which is very different from Dhaka talk and things like that. The other nuances, like I can make out Chittagongi and Silheti, I can't make out intra-Bangladeshi differences, but there are lots of Bengalis who can make out those differences. दूध का दूध पानी का पानी हो जाएगा. It's that simple.
But it's funny. And yesterday was a very interesting day when Sheikh Hasina sort of released a statement into Times of India, and her son comes out and says, no, she didn't say this.
Yeah.
And today he comes out and says, we need to kind of have 15th August as a Martyrs' Day. So
Yeah,
what's happening there? What is she trying to do sitting here? I appreciate her sitting here, by the way.
To be fair, I think the family is very, very upset. And they're still trying to process what happened. Because coming back from such a massive electoral victory to being kicked out within 6 months.
Yeah.
It's a lot to process. They don't know if they can even go back home or whatever. Is it going to be a long exile like it was in 1975? They don't know. So all of that is going to take time. I'm writing them a very, I'm giving them a very long leash to do what they want to do. This won't be the last of conflicting statements. There will be a lot more conflicting statements that come out till they're able to process. Yeah, they've lost everything.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're going to take time to process. But the more interesting thing that came out is that cocksucker Pinaki Bhattacharya sitting in London or wherever, saying that artist's house was never targeted, it just burned down accidentally because a nearby Awami League guy's house was targeted.
So you're accepting you did violence with your opposition?
No. Look at the pictures. There is no house nearby that is on fire.
Yeah.
Okay. It is only that house that is on fire. So, or understand, this fellow is a Hindu.
Yeah. He's a convert.
Is he?
Yeah. He converted, 7-8 years ago.
Pakka?
हाँ 100%. चेक कर लो आप.
ठीक है.
वो पूरी तरह से he is जमाती by nature.
ऐसा क्या?
हाँ hardcore. जमाती by nature है वो. And अरे उसके tweets देखो आप. He's like वो है ना कांग्रेस का जो इंटरनेशनल सोशल मीडिया से है ना, अभी धांधिया है ना, उसकी तरह है ये, एग्जैक्टली द सेम.
God. Yeah, why are Hindus like this, man? Like dead serious. There
Good
is no
question.
community I know that is willing to harm its own people more than Hindus. Even in the Bay Area, there are bloody a few 100,000 Indians in the Bay Area, but there are 150,000 Indian associations, each one of whom hate each other.
Hmm.
And everybody says everybody else is a fraud out there. This is, this is something.
It's sickening, right?
It
यहाँ
is,
पर भी
but
देखो.
what I mean, I don't know what to do. Let's talk about other things. Let's talk about West Bengal and the horrible
Yeah,
rape murder that went
tell
on.
me that. This is very weird. I mean, I want to start with Didi first. Her reaction to this was very weird. She came out and said, "Bhaiya, I am with central government. Whatever decision they take, this, that." 2 weeks ago, you said anybody who wants to come. I have an open door. What happened? डंडा पड़ा क्या कि?
This is, I actually support Mamta not opening her mouth on the Bangladesh situation.
Even I do, actually.
There are two people who can't afford to open their mouths right now. One is Modi and the other is Mamta. Why? Because in fact, more than Modi, the person covered most in the Bangladeshi press, the foreign leader covered more in the Bangladeshi press, has always traditionally been the Chief Minister of West Bengal.
West Bengal.
And given the hostage situation there, you can't afford to have missteps. So I'm actually, first, I was pleasantly surprised by her saying Ajao, even though it wasn't her ambit. Borders don't come under her, you see.
Yeah.
That said, I am also very happy that she knows the limits of her power. She's not like the Kerala government appointing a foreign secretary of its own. उन्होंने किया था, पता है? They appointed a
वो हट
foreign
गया.
secretary.
वो हट गया.
They must have threatened them और चुपचाप से हटा दिया होगा.
नहीं, उसको अभी लगाया है to talk and for the Malayali community abroad, just a sort of to take care of their problems and this and that. That's it. So,
Okay.
special advisor.
Whatever. Well, good. I'm glad they have their little special advisor now. Very good for them. And West Bengal is Mamta. It's best she keeps quiet, because this violence, it isn't as bad as I was expecting it to be. But that doesn't mean it's going to remain like this. It's probably going to get a lot worse later on. Hello? Can you hear me? You're frozen.
Yeah, I'm here. It just went off for a second.
Froze for a minute like this?
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. My apologies.
Ye kya ho gaya isko? And what was I saying?
Yeah, I mean, you were talking about this Mamta Didi and this and that.
It's going to get a lot worse, because remember, this is a government that's been set up to fail. Okay, this is a government, mark my words, it is going to fail. There's no way it cannot fail. Okay, because what they're going to do is they're going to keep postponing and avoiding elections. Because elections mein to asli support ka doodh, pani ka pani ho jayega. Because the whole of Bangladesh is not the students, the whole of Bangladesh is not the BNP, the whole of Bangladesh is not the Jamat-e-Islami. You understand? So what's going to end up happening is they're shit scared that if they have elections, Sheikh Hasina will gain sympathy and something happens. So the law is within 90 days election hona chahiye. But mark my words, 90 days ke andar election most probably nahi hoga. Then what happens is, how are you going to deal with the economic slowdown that has happened? Because now that you're in charge, you then have to make good on your promises that you're going to re-stimulate the economy and find jobs and this and that. Ending those war veteran quotas out there is only going to open up so many educational posts and so many jobs. The rest has to be growth. Growth nahi hoga to kya hoga? And then you think BNP and Jamat-e-Islami are going to sit by and let him take all the big decisions?
ISIS has raised his flag, sir.
ISIS has raised his flag. This guy, his first decision has been to pardon BNP ministers convicted of terrorism for smuggling arms into India to Alpha.
उल्फा.
So it is. देखते हैं क्या होता है. I'm just glad that the Peter principle is applied out here, and Mohammed Yunus will rise to his level of incompetence.
You remember 2009 when they put that Fakhruddin Ali chap? He was also so-called an economist. Same
हाँ,
nonsense
मजा आया
happened.
था ना उस टाइम भी मजा आया था ना.
The Bangladesh went like that, nosedive.
So we there's a lot. I don't think people realize how much leverage we have on Bangladesh. Okay,
Interesting.
I think we all need to calm down a bit. We need to keep screeching and yelling about Bangladeshi Hindus, because understand, it is not as bad as it is precisely because we raised our voices. Had we not raised our voices, it would have been far, 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 far worse. Now, the problem with that far, 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 far worse is it will be used against us as a threat in the future. Okay?
Leverage.
So it is very important that
Solution.
we raise our voices now, but we also keep our ammunition dry, because mark my words, we'll have to keep doing the screeching all over again in 6 to 8 months' time. Assume elections are held in 6 to 8 months. I suspect if the economy starts going south, they'll want to have elections and they'll want to palm it off onto the BNP Jamaat, who anyway will not be able to do diddly squat. Now remember, they've been out of power for 15 years. The first thing when corrupt rapine people come to power is what? Make money. इनको पैसा बनाने का opportunity चाहिए होगा, because all their family wealth has been stripped. They will have to go make their money and everything, and they will push the economy even more. But what happens to the Hindus then? Because Hindus get blamed for anything. Kuch bhi agar udhar hoga, Hindus will get blamed for it.
Yeah.
When Hazrat Bal mein Prophet Muhammad ka hair chori hua tha 1963 mein,
लोगों को
they
यहाँ
killed
मारा.
thousands of Hindus in Bangladesh.
Yeah.
Okay. Even though it was Muslims that had stolen it. So, keep your powder dry. This news cycle has run its course. Keep your powder dry now. We're going to lead a lot more of it soon.
I want to talk to you about the reaction that came from India. I mean, one of the things you saw from the so-called opposition of this country was a very strong reaction. भाई गाजा में ये हो रहा है, वो हो रहा है, and all that stuff. यहाँ पर हिंदूज का एच भी नहीं आया अभी तक बाहर. And there were people here openly trying to push it down कि कुछ नहीं हो रहा है यार, कोई भी हिंदू नहीं मरा, क्या बात कर रहे हो? वो तो अवामी लीग वाले हैं, वो तभी मार रहे हैं उनको. अरे
You remember what a huge protest took place for Gaza in Kerala, and they got the Hamas leader to talk about it.
That's why the lady tweeted about Gaza, na?
So, and the communists, including that bastard Gendres, I don't know by what stretch of the imagination that bugger is considered a food economist. Sala, would you? Itna patla hai, he looks famine-stricken himself. Would you ever trust a thin chef?
No.
You never trust a thin chef, and you never trust a malnourished food economist. That is why he tried to pass off carbohydrates as food security in India. He was actually trying to exacerbate the malnourishment situation so that he can run his shop for another 25, 30 years, claiming, oh, now the malnourishment situation has worsened. There is now an obesity problem. There is now a lack of a vitamin deficit problem. And give me more funds so I can run my shop for another 10, 15 years. Then he would find something else to run his shop for another 10, 15 years. That bugger's assets need to be seized, and he needs to be put out to beg on the streets.
Yep. He looks like it, actually.
He looks like it. बेचारा उसके घर में बहुत घटिया खाना मिलता होगा.
Job description.
It's quite strange because, in Belgium, the difference between Holland and Belgium.
The food?
Yeah. In Belgium, the food is very good. You cross the border into Holland, it suddenly becomes shit. Now, he comes from Belgium. And I was expecting, he'd be somewhat better fed. Clearly not.
नहीं, बेल्जियम में वो माइग्रेंट्स ने खा लिया होगा ना इसका खाना.
वही होगा, मोलेनबीक से आया होगा ना.
Oh, that's crazy. But यहाँ पर देखो अभी हिंडनबर्ग, I mean, you look at what happened. 9:27 Hindenburg report comes out. Opposition puts out a statement at 10:25. Matlab, it took them an entirety of some 32 minutes
Yes.
to read the report, analyze it, create this thing, get it approved, discuss it, do everything.
But it was shared with them before, because Hindenburg was in touch with Mahua Moitra. Mahua Moitra hasn't tweeted about the Bengal rape so far. She's going on about Hindenburg, almost worse than Ravish Kumar is. And she was quoted in the first report, no?
Yep.
She was quoted in the first report. So she's been in touch with them. She's been coordinating with them clearly. Boss, from what I'm hearing, ED has a very, very solid case against her.
Why aren't they doing anything then?
Huh?
Why aren't
क्या?
they doing anything then?
हर चीज का टाइम है. अभी राहुल को ईडी समन्स मिलने वाले हैं ना, नेशनल हेराल्ड केस में.
नहीं, वो तो ठीक है, but I mean, isn't
You know
it
what?
like,
Look, you know, the one thing I've realized not to do is to question Modi on when the political fell swoops need to happen. He knows exactly when to. He may have lost his electoral touch in this election, but I still think his political instincts are very sharp. Third term, to come back even with 240 is no joke. With G20 के leaders, not one of them would have lasted beyond, except Mohammed bin Salman, who is, well, he's not elected. Nobody will last for as long as Modi has.
that's there?
Okay, so he will do it at the right time. Ram Mandir, we all had doubts, बनाएगा नहीं बनाएगा, बनाएगा नहीं बनाएगा, बना दिया ना. कश्मीर हिम्मत है तो करके दिखा, 370 हिम्मत है तो करके दिखा दिया ना. ये बंदा करेगा. थोड़ा, you know, I've learned, I know it's good to be a perpetual pessimist, but in this particular case, I've learned not to be too much of a pessimist.
That, I mean, of course, there is a lot which is happening. ऐसी बात नहीं है. You know, every Friday I sit down and do something called a crackdown sort of a show, where I talk about what all kind of, you know, law and order things, terrorism, ye wo, kafi kuch. The crackdown on crypto is crazy, huh? Back to back, taka tak, FIU is working, NIA is working hardcore. They picked up some 5-7 bloody Khalistanis, big chaps. It would have broken the back of their entire financial network. तो काम चल रहा है. But ये, you know, the big ticket irritants जो हैं, इसके ऊपर like a lot of people are now saying कि भाई ये weak है. I have not made up my mind as of now, to be honest.
Okay, to be fair, let me put it this way. Every term he returns, he does something spectacular, correct?
Waqf.
Waqf इस बार कर दिया. Who thought he would do that?
Big. Oh yeah, I didn't,
You
honestly.
must have believed. Yeah.
Didn't.
And उनकी मैया चुदने वाली है.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, so he will do things, whatever is there in the manifesto will be done. We can't micromanage when he does it. I think he sees a very different picture from what we see. You know, 2 years back, this would not have been the Abhijit talking.
Yeah, I know.
Galoch to Modi.
Yeah, I know.
But after Ram Mandir, I've realized Ram Mandir मेरे को मिल गया ना. अब बस मेरे को बस my own entire focus now is भोले बाबा का मंदिर और मथुरा. और भोले बाबा के तो बारात में हम नाचेंगे. स्मिता बरुआ एंड आई हैव अ पैक्ट कि जब काशी बनेगा हम दोनों जाके पागलों की तरह नाचेंगे भोले बाबा की बारात में. ठीक है? Because we are Shaktas. This is what we do. And technically we are both, we are Shaktas. Remember, हम लड़की वाले हैं, लड़के वाले नहीं हैं. और हम बारात में भी नाचेंगे क्योंकि बारात में नाचने में भी मजा आता है.
Yeah, वो तो है. Now, tell me about, you know, if you look at Parliament में जिस तरह से they've kind of played the narrative this time, it's a lot of below the belt hitting which is happening. And the other side seems it's, you know, one thing that we had as a cry कि ये लोग यार hard जवाब नहीं देते, communication में poor हैं. Do you see some change?
इस बार बहुत चेंज हुआ है. You saw अनुराग ठाकुर's reply to Rahul. एकदम कड़क सा interest के साथ दिया उसने. Okay. The second thing that has happened is Hindenburg report. Last time they didn't know what hit them. This time they were completely prepared. All the answers came out within 24 hours.
Yeah.
And the market recovered how? Same day loss bhi nahi hua. The market recovered same day itself. Within hours, within 2 hours, it had recovered. So they're clearly doing damage control much better. The third thing I want you to see is in Parliament, the opposition behaved like a bunch of orangutans.
Yeah.
Actually, I should apologize to all our orangutan friends because orangutans are actually extremely well behaved. Well, these guys behave like the India lions, which is something like Ramapithecus or Australopithecus. I don't know which one, but extremely violent, deranged these things. I don't think people realize what a dangerous species Ramapithecus and Australopithecus were. If you went into their territory, you'd be killed and eaten on the spot. And these are our direct ancestors. Don't forget that.
No wonder. The
Yeah.
Americans seem to be the directest ancestors.
है ना? So what ends up happening is जब से ये लोग पार्लियामेंट में शोर कर रहे हैं, ये रास्ते पे आकर शोर नहीं कर रहे हैं. Have you noticed that?
My next question was that I have two hints of protest, so finish your point and then we'll kind of.
So as long as they feel that they've got the upper hand in parliament and they can keep screeching, shutting down parliament, etc., etc., they are not going to come out on the streets. And that's good news for the average commuter in Delhi, at least. So I want to congratulate all our other viewers from the other parts of Delhi that you have not had to endure what we have had to endure. We may be the capital and we may have more spent on us, but understand we also suffer more than the rest of you in all this bloody tamasha bazi and blockades and road rokos and all that shit.
Yeah.
So this is a good thing for Delhi. They're not coming out on the streets. And that's excellent.
What do you think about these two? One is this thing which is coming up, the caste thing which is coming up in Nagpur and Maharashtra area, where the whole caste narrative is picking up कि भाई वो creamy layer वाला नहीं होना चाहिए. Government ने already बोल दिया नहीं होना चाहिए. And this is very interesting. Why? Let me just take 10 seconds. The courts seem to be at the bottom of all these things. The court was at the bottom of what happened in Manipur. The court was at the bottom of what happened in Bangladesh. Although I agree with the creamy layer thing, but the government has said we don't want to implement it. The court is the basis of this as well. तो एक ये है, दूसरा ये डॉक्टर स्ट्राइक, IMA is now threatening to go on strike. What's up here?
Well, okay, now let's start with the last one, the IMA. This was a doctor, a medical board member who came and raped the poor girl. How do we protect a doctor from a doctor? Ye mere ko batao. See, if there's a patient coming and slapping you and all of that, tell me how much security can we do, boss? We can't have an SPG guard for every doctor, no? Every hospital has to evolve its own routines where nobody is left alone by themselves. There always needs to be 2-3 doctors working in unison on a night shift. There needs to be one guard per floor. Okay. That hospital didn't even have that.
They broke the room already.
This is a hospital to hospital decision. Who does hospital management? It's the doctors themselves. Who runs the budgets of those medical colleges and hospitals? It's the doctors themselves. If you're so worried about security, you need to start allocating more money and hire more security. You tell me, see, in the Nirbhaya case, there were a lot of things because cops stopped that bus and, they waved it past without doing any proper checking. They didn't even see the license had expired, not the license, the number plate or whatever. It was flying on a route that they weren't meant to be flying, etc., etc. वो सब कुछ check नहीं किया था and they let it pass. Okay. Here, you tell me how this could have been avoided. every hospital needs to take adequate precautions about its own staff safety and security. In every organization I have worked, we have not depended on the, think tanks are places where people come in every single day, every single minute. There's always some event happening, so people keep coming into our offices. Uh, there will be a lot of us work quite late into the night. One of the reasons I had to postpone was because I had a Zoom call, which my entire team had to be there, which is why I asked for 10:30 tonight, because we had to time it to America time. And so I had to be in the office because it's impossible to coordinate so many Zooms on the India side and on that side kind of thing. वो Zoom नहीं है, वो कोई special software है with that big camera kind of thing that we put in the office and things like that. Anyway, now had I just gone there by myself and Zoomed, somebody comes in and does something to me. Is it a law and order problem? Yes. But is it avoidable? No. Does it happen in every country? Yes. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
So I don't know what the hell the IMA is protesting for.
The worst part
Uh,
is not just one person, it's multiple people. It's supposed to be
it
now.
was a gang rape. It was a gang rape. It was a collaborative gang rape between people that is clearly predetermined. And the police are going out of their way to cover up everything.
Yeah. And they've broken that
They've
room and
started
this and
demolishing,
that and
yeah, they
everything.
started demolishing the room. They've started demolishing the room. Okay. So there's clearly some kind of thing happening out there to protect whoever it is. But what does the rest of the country have to do with it?
Yeah. We are all hospitals will not work.
Now, I can tell you something that needs to be done, which is, first, there need to be security cameras in every hospital, and the hospital management needs to be held responsible for the functioning of those cameras. Okay. Anything wrong happens at a time the camera does not work, failure of the camera is the management's problem. First,
Yeah.
allocate responsibility. Second, the guards need to have suppressants. It's not just danda. You also need to have tasers and things like that with them to suppress. One guard per floor, can you afford? One guard per corridor, can you afford?
Yeah.
It's not that expensive. Guards aren't that expensive to keep.
Minimum wage, yeah, 15,000 bucks.
So my housing society here, we hire about 10-14 guards to keep 24/7 watch on the 3 gates. Okay, and we all pay it. For us, it works out about 500 rupees per person per month for हमारे colony का this thing. ठीक है? It's fine. Are you telling me a hospital that gets a much higher allocation doesn't have money for that?
Cool.
The hospital let her down. The police betrayed her. This can happen to anyone in India, by the way. It can happen to anyone. I don't see how doctors are uniquely, anybody who works long, lonely shifts. This can happen in BPOs, boss.
Yeah, yeah.
The graveyard shift in hotels. Hotels can't shut their lobby down. The lobby has to function 24/7. The graveyard shift, which starts at say 10 p.m. and ends at 7 a.m., is probably the most dangerous shift any hospitality worker working in the front desk or housekeeping, especially. Raat ko somebody says, make up my room. The housekeeping lady goes up and something happens to her in the room. Are you going to provide her with security?
It's not possible.
It is not physically possible. So I think the IMA also has a lot to answer for out here. Okay. The hospital management has a lot. We are giving them all short shift. And
That's true.
nobody wants to ask the hard questions in this country. That said, I got to this from a different angle. What were we talking about before I started talking about this?
I mean, the whole narrative we were talking about, and the way this whole thing is going, if you look at it, the point that you were trying to make was basically about how these guys were shifting the narrative and they were not able to actually control it. And we went from that to this point here.
The BJP is able to control the narrative now. Well, I'm not saying they control the narrative, but they're better at it. And I think 240 now means that they can't claim that elections are rigged and EVs are malfunctioning and all of that. ठीक है ना, तो बहुत गुब्बारा burst हो गया है उधर. But imagine something, and not one female MP of the TMC has tweeted.
देखो,
Today, Sagarika Ghosh tweets after 4 days. She tweets, and she doesn't tweet as a woman. She tweets as the mother of a doctor. As the mother of a doctor, I'm appalled and shocked at the heinous, ghastly crime at RG Kar Hospital, over which there should be no politics. The Mamta official government stands for zero tolerance on crimes against women. This when her own police is trying to cover up. Whoever did this deserves the harshest possible punishment. No one will be spared. The key accused has already been arrested. You remember, this is the same story she gave us with the Sandesh Khali rapes.
she doesn't have that.
Arrested.
Mr. Modi is not listening. Why is she not making a video about it?
Well, I think she got told off. Somebody told me apparently that she told someone that a guy called Abhijit Iyer Mitra is being paid crores by the BJP to parody her.
I'm very disappointed. Even I could have got that idea.
एक फूटी कौड़ी नहीं मिली है मेरे को. I'm parodying her for the sheer joy of parodying her because she's so parodyable.
I am very disappointed. मैं भी कर सकता था यार, ये तो दाढ़ी शाड़ी क्या 2 मिनट में साफ हो जाएगा.
वैसे you'll actually be a more realistic.
पंजाबी है हम, थोड़ा ये करो देखो लाल हो जाता है.
You're a more realistic Sagarika with your dadi actually. She hides her 5 o'clock shadow.
But you know, the hypocrisy of the whole thing is when you see these lines now coming up across. Hindenburg created this line, ठीक है? And today all these journalists are
No. You asked me. I am a protest.
the
and you
protests. Yeah,
two
I'm
things.
coming to that.
So the cumulative attacks.
The
Hindenburg
caste and the
happened at the
protest.
same time.
Yeah.
Okay. Hindenburg happens at the same time. I don't think IMA is a isolated issue, but Hindenburg separately.
Caste,
Caste is one thing.
Supreme
You
Court.
notice they're trying to ignite every single fissure in Indian society.
Yep.
The boy is a goddamn pyromaniac. पर अभी उसका नेशनल हेराल्ड का केस तो खुल गया है ना, तो मजा आएगा थोड़ा. रुको.
What is that? Is that a pressure tactic or they're going to do something?
देखो.
Hard
I
question,
don't know.
right?
I don't know. But you remember I told you this कि हमारे पास भी नेशनल हेराल्ड है. I told you the first thing after the first podcast we did after the election, I think.
Elections. I was in Goa that time.
ये
Yeah.
हाँ, I told you कि इसमें कुछ नेशनल हेराल्ड का कुछ होने वाला है.
The funny thing is, he started saying कि ED वाले मेरे पीछे पड़ने वाले हैं. He himself said it.
He himself said it.
So, you know, these protests and this and that, if you look at it, the destabilization factor जो चल रहा है, it's a huge challenge right now. And everybody expects, even I do, by the way, I'm guilty of it, कि फटाफट जवाब दो यार. उठाओ बंदे को, ठोको.
See, there's no right answer to this. If you crack down, you can crack down 100 times, and the 101st time the protester will win. Like it happened in Bangladesh. Or you can not crack down at all and wear them out, and still the 101st time the protester will win. Okay? The question is how you bring all the pieces together. We do have an employment problem in this country. Let us be very clear about it. Okay? There are lots of youth who are not employed, who are not finding jobs. And a lot of it, the reasons are very complex, because every mother whose son has done a BTech or a BE thinks that uska beta agla Steve Jobs hai, ya agla Satya Nadella hai, ya agla तीसरा गंजू कौन है वो?
वो था ना
हाँ, सत्या नडेला इज गंजू. सुंदर पिचाई. ओके,
पिचाई. उसके तो बाल हैं यार, ऐसे तो मत करो.
हाँ, तो सत्या नडेला गंजू है ना, वही बोला. तो no mother wants to admit कि उसका लाडला is not even qualified to be a factory floor worker.
Yeah.
So even if there are jobs around, and I was shocked this time in Gujarat, I had gone to GLS to give a speech, and they were telling me, यार हमारे इधर हर बच्चा, no बच्चा ever wanted in Gujarat ever wanted to join the IAS. वो सब कॉलेज खत्म करके धंधा शुरू करना चाहते थे. And they wanted to be the Malik, providing employment for lots of other people. That was
Entrepreneurship, yeah.
the spirit. But even that has now been eroded. They're like, so many of our students at GLS management are saying, we want desk jobs. They're not willing to do the dhanda that their parents used to do. It's becoming very problematic. And there is this notion कि physical work गिरा हुआ काम है, डेस्क में बैठ के कुछ नहीं करना, अपना बट चीक सेकना, यही लाट साहिब का काम है. It is coming in Gujarat also. What do you do? Bhai, the thing is, people don't realize I have a desk job. It's an executive desk job. Senior fellow is like one from the top in this thing. People don't realize the amount of actual physical work. You have to go around all day talking to people, taking interviews of people, because everything I do is primary research. When I travel, you see my dances. You don't see how many times I have to go into very dangerous places at times and sit and talk to them. I had to literally, and I can honestly tell you, with the first few times when I met the Taliban, when I was handed over without any kind of, backup route, if they'd taken me and kidnapped me and executed me ISIS style, that would have been the end. I was shitting bricks. See, there's the thrill of doing it, but there is also us thrill में भी वो ना गांड को you tighten your sphincter because you never know when you're going to shit from fear.
Yeah, of course. If you're not scared, you're lying.
And it was a lot of hard, arduous travel through Afghanistan talking to those people. In India, it's a lot easier doing it, but you still have to go from meeting to meeting to meeting. You don't know what meeting will yield results, what meeting will not yield results. You have to sit and talk to people. There is a lot of work involved in it. You see the condensed final product. You don't see the amount of meeting people, talking to them, going to places, and because I don't show you who I'm interviewing. I show you what I'm eating, where I've gone, who I've danced with. You see all the stupid fun things I do on the side. You don't see what I do between those stupid fun things that I do on the side.
It's tough.
Right?
It's tough. It's not easy.
It's not easy. It's not easy. You see the business class tickets. You see the 5-star hotels. But the rest of the work is not 5-star. And I much prefer interviewing the lower rungs because that is where you get the real operational truth. So you can gauge कि upper rung or lower rung में क्या communication gap है.
That's true.
So we're becoming a bloody lazy country that does not want to do hard physical work at all.
That is the whole communist agenda, right? The leftist agenda is what?
But you can't create wealth by just sitting on your desk.
That's what I called it the new deep state. You'll probably call it the new tech guys who are now, joining together, backing Trump and all that stuff. That's what they're saying. कि भाई तुम्हारे जो policy है DEI से इससे पैसा नहीं बनता. क्या कर रहे हो? Microsoft throws out his entire DEI team one week before the CrowdStrike thing happens. 1 week.
Yeah.
Entire DEI team gone.
Yes.
Stroke of the pen.
So that's a good thing that's happened, which I completely support 100%. But more companies need to be doing it. Now, you look at Elon Musk's interview with Trump. It's already gotten 1 billion views and mention. Imagine 1 billion views and mention within 24 hours. You tell me one legacy media that can do this.
And by the way, they try to strike it. They had DDoS strikes to their servers. Can you imagine?
DDoS strikes. This guy Thierry Breton, who himself is under a cloud of conflict of interest, then issues a notice. I'm waiting for Trump to come to power, and then how this Thierry Breton has the guts to fucking go face Trump after he tried to shut down the interview.
Yeah. And the worst part is what they're doing to us, what they did to us in our election, they're doing it to themselves.
Yeah.
You see, UK में they went and caught an American chap, said you posted something on Facebook.
भाई देख, जो वो हमारे इलेक्शंस को करना चाहते हैं, उससे कई ज्यादा बुरा वो खुद अपने इलेक्शंस में कर रहे हैं. So it's not that they regime change us, they regime change themselves. They are chronic, they are equal opportunity regime changers. And honestly, our elections look first world compared to their elections. Their elections are the most third world. I'm sure Burkina Faso holds better elections than the United States of America.
Last में मैं आपसे पूछूंगा, there were protests before as well. Modi, one faction believes कि साहब Modi was very very weak. He didn't take action when it was required. The protests just चलते रहे and वो अच्छा नहीं था. There's another faction who says, guys, if you would have done what hard action, you would have had Bangladesh, you would have had the entire thing lighting up into flames. So he played it diplomatically.
Said, both are valid, but let me give you a third point of view.
And what should he do for the coming protests?
So coming protests, once the congregation has taken place, it becomes an extremely high risk gamble. Cracking down on it can solve the problem. Not cracking down on it can also solve the problem till it does not. Like I said, it's the 101st time that the protester succeeds, whether you crack down or don't crack down. Okay. But let me give you the third option. You crack down even before the congregation happens, which is what, remember, we've spoken about. Even when 10 people congregate, you disperse it at the 10 people congregation point, not at the 100 people congregation point, because at the 100 people congregation point, the more the numbers that come, the higher the risk of fatal violence in that confrontation. This is 101 of crowd control. Now, the problem is, हमारी पुलिस इतनी बेहुदा नालायक पुलिस है, all they're interested in is doing hafta vasuli. I can tell you where I stay, the Safdarjung Enclave police station, the only thing they're interested in is going after all these poor northeastern restaurants and doing their hafta vasuli. One bloody जो चुतिया इधर का सब इंस्पेक्टर या इंस्पेक्टर था, just because he wanted payment, he found one restaurant that was serving alcohol, he shut down all the restaurants. And then they all opened up after they paid hafta to him. In your face extortion, corruption. There is another guy who's been going around because he's been posted to some godforsaken place. He's going around asking for a transfer. How many of you can talk to somebody to get me transferred back to Safdarjung Enclave so I can start my hafta vasuli there again? See, my driver, my transportation executive, as I call him, I printed him cards saying Sachin Mehelwal, transportation executive. And he proudly flashes it around, transportation executive man. And he's your typical Jat. And that's why I have him, because anything that happens on the road, the first thing is he'll get out from the car and get ready to bash the other guy. And I feel very safe and secure with him. He's like my bodyguard as well. So what ends up happening is, because he's lived in this Humayunpur village since he was a little kid. This was literally a village. When I was a kid, I could literally see this part from my house in R.K. Puram, which was the first government flat my dad got allocated in Delhi. And in those days, this used to be full of leopards. We were locked into our houses. Today, jahan Bhikaji Kama wala Hyatt hai, and the whole of Safdarjung Enclave and all of that, anything south of R.K. Puram, they used to actually be leopards. I have seen leopards in somewhere near this area when I was a kid. That family has lived here and owned land here for the longest period of time. And they are like, bhai, we own this place. They know the entire gossip network. So I've been getting all this gossip from him. Okay. The Chutia, who's the sub-inspector here, has no time to investigate regular complaints. His entire thing is going in hafta vasuli from all these poor northeast Balika restaurants. So, ये पुलिस पे तुम विश्वास करके, do you trust them to go break up those gatherings of 10 people?
You'll have to put CRPF everywhere then.
You'll have to put CRPF everywhere. In fact, if you deploy this particular Chutia, he'll probably go take hafta from them and say, देख, तू 100 बन जा, फिर मारना नहीं पड़ेगा तेरे को, और तू मेरे को 5,000 रुपए दे दे तेरे को असेंबल करने के लिए.
You're absolutely right. So you need to. The problem is the rot is too deep. There is just no question. And I keep every week when I cover my crackdown show and when I dig into what's happening in terms of internal security, you just realize, freak, the rot is so deep here. It's crazy. Guys, let's get into some questions. There are 4,700 of you watching, 1,300 likes. That's not fair. You guys need to take it up beyond 2,000. ये तो करना ही है यार. 50%. You guys know what's happening with regards to YouTube, right? आप सबको पता है क्या हो रहा है. ठीक है? तो you guys need to help us promote this, and the only way you can help us promote this is like. So please like, comment after the show finishes. Okay, please do that. And of course, yes, you can contribute towards this channel. QR code, PayPal, which is in the description, or super stickers, super chats, or members as well. Putin Yadav, interesting name, right? Thank you. USAID, along with NGOs, Google, and YouTube, deploying core ML API and AI to infiltrate into colleges in Maharashtra, Haryana to influence political leaning of students. I'll send you details of this. Someone was kind enough to give me details. I have absolutely brilliant details of this.
Amazing. Bhejna, because I know nothing about this. So mere ko bhejo zarur.
There is stuff happening, and so let me just ask you this: the US Embassy in Hyderabad is meeting up with Mr. Oaisi.
To be fair, they need to meet everyone.
Should we also? Do we?
But of course, this is my whole complaint, that we do not build bridges with everyone in America. We need to be talking to white supremacists. We need to be talking to the KKK. We need to be talking to BLM. We need to be talking to every two-spirit, trans, non-cis het. And we need to be talking to everyone who says abortion is good and everyone who says abortion is bad.
Yep. I say
Why
this
don't we do it?
diplomacy on both sides.
We should be doing public diplomacy on the failures of the Biden administration. We should be doing public diplomacy in America on, we need to be giving a platform to these anti-government voices in America. What is preventing you from doing it?
Governor of Texas को लेके आओ. हाँ? Governor of Texas को लेके आओ, बात करो immigration के बारे में, उसके साथ क्या
Texas को लेके आओ. Bring in all the anti-immigration voices. वो गोरी है, complete racist bitch who told Vivek Ramaswamy that I'll never vote for you because you're an Indian, even though I agree.
हाँ.
कौन है वो?
I don't remember, but I remember, yeah.
You know the चुड़ैल. उसको लेके आओ. Racist है तो क्या हुआ? I'll brown wash you.
Why not? Absolutely.
Why not? What is stopping you from doing it? So do it. रोक कौन रहा है? तो करते क्यों नहीं हो? सारे खुद करते नहीं हो, and then you start crying when somebody else does it.
Yep.
अगर पड़ोसी का कुत्ता आके तुम्हारे बिस्तर पे सुसु करेगा, तुम अपने कुत्ते को उधर भेजो सुसु करने के लिए उसके बिस्तर पे.
Ann Coulter,
that's the one.
Our guys are solid. They also fatafat came up with this thing.
है ना? So करो.
Yeah.
That said, we need to remember Eric Garcetti has been shown his place. He's very, very upset because he's not been getting meetings. Before him, there was a very capable guy who wasn't full ambassador, but he was the charge d'affaires. It's called Atul Keshav, who was fantastic. He knew everyone. He knew what to say to whom. Every door in Delhi used to open for him.
Indian blood,
Frank Weisner, career diplomat, every door used to open for him. Blackville was the best. Indians loved Blackville and Blackville loved Indians. His staff hated him. But there isn't a single Indian who you'll meet who will have anything bad to say about Blackville. Richard Celeste was a very good midway. वो कल्चरल भी बहुत ज्यादा करता था पर सीरियस स्टफ भी बहुत ज्यादा करता था.
ये तो पता नहीं क्या है, बेवकूफ सा है.
But then you have chudels like that female who was there, the lesbo lady. कौन थी वो? You know who I'm talking about. You can't tell.
Yeah, but my names I'm pretty bad, especially of US guys. I mess up quite a bit.
Rich Verma was a consummate professional.
Yeah.
Obama, Democrat, but so professional.
But again, he was able to talk through people. ये वो कर कुला लेता था अपना काम.
सब कुछ. He used to do. I would say after Blackville, Rich Verma, Atul Keshav have been the standouts. Right. But these are people who have experience. They don't go do dholakbazi and public diplomacy and make cringy videos in Hindi, Tamil, Bengali, whatever. If you have substance, you don't have to do that shit as an ambassador.
Yeah, absolutely. You're absolutely correct, sir.
So, Eric Garcetti is the wrong man in the wrong place at the wrong time.
So we guys call him Eric Garlic Chutney. Eric Garlic Chutney.
You shouldn't insult garlic chutney. Garlic chutney is quite delicious sometimes.
True.
I don't like raw garlic, but the cooked garlic chutney is delicious.
नहीं आप उसके साथ खाओ ना. You have that garlic podi with plain rice and some ghee.
I
Ah.
don't like pondo podi.
Oh, you don't like? Okay. Podi rice is tasty.
I like garlic in my vetakoramba.
Ah.
Pondo vetakoramba. I don't know why more North Indians don't know vetakoramba, because I think vetakoramba more than sambar or rasam is the absolute pinnacle of. But उसके लिए अच्छा घी भी होना चाहिए. ठीक चावल
Yeah.
बासमती
Yeah.
चावल के साथ ठीक नहीं रहेगा. You need a
Oh,
proper
BT rice. BT rice.
yeah, you need a proper rice which goes with it. And I don't think the North even understands. It's so tangy and it's so tikha and it's so थोड़ा सा मीठा होगा, थोड़ा सा कड़वा होगा, and there's these whole pieces of shallots, छोटे what are called sambar onions, and whole pieces of garlic which you crush. When people talk about Champaran mutton, they talk about how ये ओ भाई साहब देखो ये पूरा लहसुन मैंने कुचाल के अपने चावल में mix कर दिया. This is the vegetarian version of that.
It's really super. I also love dal papu.
I love dal papu.
It's amazing.
Any of those Andhra podis, those powders that you mix with ghee and eat with rice. And the easiest one, of course, is the Senaga papu one.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Anyways,
next.
Satyaji, thank you for becoming a member. Bear Feed, thank you. US retreat 100M Niger Air Base in Africa. Is it over for the Western Africa? Are they trying but not successful? That base, that air base that they had to evacuate, right? The Americans.
Oh, they did? I wasn't even tracking it. Sorry.
They are. So it's not over for them. They've got a strong presence in Ghana. They've got a strong presence in Djibouti. They've got a strong presence in Central Africa and all that stuff. And of course, South Africa and this and that.
But I'm surprised about Niger because France won't let them come into their own. This is the Francophonie, right?
No. This was there. This is where the fight between America and France used to happen.
And remember, Niger is where our uranium mining concessions are.
It comes
very important for us.
Goes from Niger into Nigeria and all that stuff and comes to us.
Yeah, and Niger, our entire uranium supply comes from Niger.
Yeah.
So I need to track this. I'm gonna.
Okay, Saurabh ji, thank you. He says caste and Varna system is the main cause of divide in Hindus. We always neglect this issue. When this symptom becomes a problem, we treat symptom. Main issue still eats us.
Yes, this is true. And see, this becomes particularly bad. How do you explain the fact that coming during the Gupta period, Fahim only makes passing? It's not an issue. Anybody coming to India before that doesn't treat it as an issue. We don't have the original indica of Megasthenes, but nobody else who cites the indica talks about caste. There are no foreign descriptions of caste anywhere prior to this. It only starts with Huensang arriving in Harsha's court in the 7th century. Well, the 8th century, 700, so 8th century. And what happens, people don't realize this is the general Middle Age collapse, when late antiquity ends and you enter the Middle Ages, where there's full-on deurbanization. Deurbanization fundamentally makes these divisions much more rigid, because you have to become more community-based because all your resources are much reduced. And that resource competition means you can only trust kith and kin, so you only marry within the family, etc., etc., etc. The problem is we never recovered from it. Every other society recovered from it through industrialization or rejuvenation or whatever. We did not. Understand, we seldom to never lost wars with invaders before 400 AD. After 400 AD also, we managed to keep winning for about 400-500 years, and then it just...
By 1300, it was completely gone.
1300 to chodo, by about 1100 itself, we were not able to fight.
Yeah.
Okay. So clearly something is happening out there which You can't do anything about it. And I can only see caste as the problem, because you've broken up into these super clustered little groups that aren't willing to see beyond their own nose. You still have people talking about caste. By caste pride, Rakho. I'm not saying caste pride is a wrong thing.
Don't
The
divide
problem,
yourselves. We don't need any more divisions here.
you can't have temple segregation based on caste. You can't have caste exclusive anything. You can't say occupations are caste exclusive. ऐसे चलता नहीं है boss.
And especially in today's day and age, when you have a adversary like that who's ready to kill you and stuff, I'd rather not. Bhupendraji, thank you so much for this. And of course, being a Superman today and gifting 10 memberships to our audience. Guys, I hope you all have given a good shout out. But he says, you have restored my sleep. Thank you. I don't know what that
Did I
means.
bore you to sleep, Bhupendra, or did I get rid
Bring
of
you
your
out.
night? वो बताओ, क्योंकि
I
this
guess
can both be a compliment and can be an insult.
I've seen him in the chat, so he's not sleeping. So that's fine. Parthaji says, if investigation, thank you firstly, if investigation of Hindenburg hit piece is not going to Veer Sangvi, does that make him the do rupe wala? Itna low self-respect theek nahi hai. You saw his tweet, right? A lot of people
What
said, "Tu apna, tu, अरे no, this SEBI, this that." People said, "तू जा यार, ITC में जाके नान बुखारा खा और उसका रिव्यू लिख बस खत्म कहानी."
भाई इसमें सबसे ज्यादा जो बेशर्मी की ट्वीट है वो सुचेता दलाल का ट्वीट है. That
Is it
piece of dog
what?
shit,
It's
so corrupt, runs a goddamn extortion business, is caught up so badly in the NSCL scam, and got caught for questioning for something else this time round, which she manages to threaten all the editors so that they reported this as she was called in to help with the investigations. She was not called to help with the investigations. She herself is under the cloud of suspicion. She writes a column saying how to manage a credibility crisis. Boss, that is like Stalin writing about human rights. Credibility and Sucheta Dalal, they do not
don't.
even belong, forget the same sentence. They don't even belong on the same page in the same book. A book
Yeah.
with the name Sucheta Dalal cannot have the word credibility in it. Heck, the whole bookshelf should not have a single word credibility in it. If I tell you half the stories her former editors have told me, her former colleagues have told me, there is a reason she's unemployable.
Yeah.
She had
Untouchable.
to start a piece of shit called whatever it is, Money Life or whatever, with her equally loser of a husband. And then Rajdeep tweets it. Probably India's most revered financial journalist, Kaiki revered. We know exactly what that Harshad Mehta scam was a bureaucratic scam. She made Harshad Mehta the fall guy. First of all, she didn't do any of the investigations. That was done by a guy who now works for Business Line, Hindu Business Line.
Yeah.
But you know, Rajdeep is coming more and more unhinged day by day. आज उसको बहुत पिछवाड़े पे उसको लात मिला ना कोर्ट से. The court has really hauled him up.
Tweet delete
So,
kar. Tweet delete kar. Video delete kar.
and he doctored that tweet.
Yeah, he did. Hey, come on, yeah. You don't do that to a lady. You don't do that to a lady. That's just not okay.
No, you know, between her pulling the thing down, there was almost a 15-minute gap which he condensed. Otherwise, how do you explain that after she pulls the thing down, the next thing is him getting into the car? Was the car parked in the living room that after she pulls the mic and the camera down, it switches on while getting into the car? She lives on the 4th floor. I've been to that house. She lives on the 4th floor. You have to wait for the lift or walk down. That is like a 2-minute walk. And then you're not allowed to park outside. You have to then call the driver or whatever to come, or you park in the underground parking, which is, it'll take you about a good 3-4 minutes, but everything spliced together.
Yeah. Nitin ji, thank you. Hi, aim bro. आपसे bro वाली feeling आती है. Okay, which is a better fighter, Rafael or Euro?
I've
fighter
answered
jet,
this before.
Cyclone.
There's no such thing as a better fighter, boss. It is
How
each
you use
fighter
it.
will prioritize certain things over certain other things, and they are meant for whatever their national requirements told them was more important.
You heard what the NATO pilot said, right? Tarang Shakti. They
Yeah,
said your interlink comms are better than what we are using in NATO, by the way.
I doubt that.
I don't know. This is the official statement of the Spanish pilots.
Congratulations. I'm waiting. मेरे को भेज. I really want to see this
I'll
and see
send it to
what's.
you. I'll send it to you. Pankaj Sinha, thank you so much. How can people not see the opposition's attempt to sabotage Indian business? Similar in Kenya, Adani Airport aimed to harm India globally.
Of course it is. And does the state support Adani? Of course they do. Because Adani is able to go and do. See, the thing is, Haifa port, why did we get the contract? Kenya, why do we get the contract? Because Adani is able
Vietnam.
to problem out. Hambantota, the Sri Lankans first came to us. But the MEA realized it couldn't project manage it. So they said, "Bhai, Chini ko dena hai to de do." And now we scream Hambantota, Hambantota. What Adani is going and doing out there is preventing the Chinese from getting those contracts.
Vietnam
So,
now, yaar.
and is he helped by the state? Of course he is. If he's doing your bloody work for you, you should be supporting him.
Yeah,
And he will do
absolutely.
whatever is required to get the job done. That is how private industry works. Unlike Babus, who get a bloody salary and job security for doing absolutely nothing, even if you fail miserably at your job, you are guaranteed that you will at least become joint secretary and get your complete retirement package.
True.
And top-notch healthcare in the best institutes, no matter what happens to you. No Indian has the kind of health coverage that an IS Babu or IFS Babu has.
That's true.
Tumhara, your health insurance, if you get cancer, will only pay for your first round of chemotherapy or operation. It will not pay for the repeat rounds. A Babu, everything will be paid for. The pacemaker, the repeats to the pacemaker, repeat rounds, even if there's 20, 30 rounds of chemotherapy, it will be paid for by the government.
Fantastic.
The health insurance is insane. I have seen it when my father died. He died in Ames, not very far from here, Ames, Delhi. Every string that could be pulled was pulled because he was one of us. The care given was top notch. You can never say my dad died because of medical negligence or want of. We didn't have to pay anything.
Mm.
It all came under the government of India.
True.
Okay. So, for all of that you get, and what private industry is not given, I'm glad we're supporting private industry. What he's doing in Australia, he's the only person other than the Chinese who's got a bloody mining this thing
Yeah.
out there.
The Bob Brown Foundation, Adani
एक तो
Watch.
बोलते हो invest in strategic materials abroad, invest in strategic ports abroad. जब करते हैं, then you try to undermine them. Then you say, why is the government supporting him? Support नहीं करोगे तो क्या undermine करोगे?
क्यों करेगा वो आपके लिए?
हाँ. Next.
Ame Bhosle ji, thank you so much. Masala Star ji, thank you. How will US Navy presence in the Bay of Bengal? How will it affect India?
But it's been there for a very long time, Babu. There's nothing new. Look, America has unfettered basing rights in Perth. They have unfettered basing rights on Christmas Islands if the Americans choose to, if the Australians choose to develop it. They've got Diego Garcia, which is the most significant American base abroad, which nobody talks about, which is where nuclear submarines are there, attack submarines, ballistic missile submarines, and the stealth bomber. It is one of the main stealth bomber bases, B-2 stealth bomber. It is one of the main bases for the B-2 stealth bomber. Nobody wants to talk about it.
What about in Kenya? They've got a base there also.
Kenya mein hai, Djibouti mein hai. They've got a base in Bahrain. The Fifth Fleet is
Qatar,
based
Bahrain, Dubai, Jeddah.
They've got bases everywhere. Singapore has unfettered access for American aircraft carriers and things like that. They don't even have to take permission before they harbor in Singapore. They have basing rights in Oman. So what are you talking about? they didn't need to overthrow the government for Saint Martin. Let's be clear about that.
No, they just honestly for them, this is a diversion. I spoke
Yes.
to Mr. Vikram Sood. You know what he said? He said, Adi, this is the narrative diversion. Their real
Yes.
target is somewhere else.
They
Wait
want
and
to they want to make this, they wanted to reduce it to such absurdity so that they can say, bhai dekho ye chutiye kya baat kar rahe hain. It is so absurd. We have all these bases. Why would we want Saint Martin Island?
Nee, I don't buy the base thing. For me, it
I
is basically just the thing that they wanted to. And I said this to Mr. Sood also, and he said, Adi, you're right. This whole cookie Christian thing is also a diversion. Wait, the game is going to open.
Yeah, you
So,
tell me honestly, if they want to create a Christian state, okay, now supposing I want to steal all those badges behind you, I'm going to say, Adi bhai, I'm coming to Bangalore. I'll stay at your house. मेरी देखभाल करो. Okay, I'm not going to say, Adi, मैं ना तेरा चोरी करने वाला हूँ रे, दे दे. So you think an American will go to Sheikh Hasina and say, I want to split off 1/10 of your country, de de. Come along.
Subhuji, thank you. Hi, Adi and Abhijit. Could you please explain Al Qaeda angel in Bangladesh? Oh, there's so many of them.
Al-Qaeda angel, ये क्या है?
वो है ना, जो अभी गवर्नमेंट में है, उसका मौलाना फदूदी, or whatever his name is. I don't know.
मौदूदी का बेटा फौदूदी.
I don't know what's his name, but वो अभी गवर्नमेंट में है, उसको ले लिया है गवर्नमेंट में.
No idea, but I'm not surprised. All the
Yeah.
Jamaat fuckers are like that. Look, Jamat-e-Islami is just one step away. You know the Jamat-e-Islami in Kashmir? Their political wing is the PDP and the military wing is the Hizbul Mujahideen. You literally have a Hizbul Mujahideen government in Bangladesh,
Yeah.
which can have any number of mutations, permutations, combinations.
Absolutely. Vishnu Saab, thank you. BJP said walks to JPC. Is it built to go to the? Is it supposed to go to the cold room from here?
No, they'll allow it to deliberate and they'll shove it through anyway.
Yeah, they have the numbers.
Yeah, they have
अभिषेक
to.
जी, थैंक यू. हिंदुइज्म में एग्जिट तो है सर, बट एंट्री नहीं है. अगर है तो व्हाई इज इट नॉट इम्प्लीमेंटेड?
किसने बोला एंट्री नहीं है?
बहुत लोग आ रहे हैं यार. रशिया में जाके देखो, धनाधन कन्वर्ट हो रहे हैं वहां पर तो.
See, you don't let them into Jagannath Puri or Padmanabha Swami temple, or in Tamil Nadu they won't let foreigners into. Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Odisha, they're very strict about these things. They will not let you foreigners into temples. These are your own rules. You have to change.
TJ, thank you so much. After 25 years, do you think the army introspected on how top generals messed up Kargil by hiding information? They also seem incompetent in their procurements, even the IAF. Did we have the money for it at that time? I didn't.
After
I mean,
the army interest.
yeah, there's a whole thing that army tried to hide information and this and that. Must understand, in such a large operation, this kind of nonsense happens. It's how it is.
You know, the person to talk about Kargil is actually Angad,
Yeah.
Zone 5 Aviation, because he's all got all the dirt and the gossip on it. I don't go too much into tactical details anymore because it depresses me.
War is heck.
So I just go to Angad and say, Angad bhai, mere ko give me the 5-minute primer.
MPC doctor, thank you. Abhijit Da, do you still think that the Dems are going to win? What happens to Ukraine and Imran Khan then?
Ukraine continues and Imran Khan continues to be in
Have you
jail.
seen our boy also in a tight t-shirt nowadays, just like Zelensky?
Kaun?
There's only one man in a t-shirt nowadays.
Zelensky, Zalimsky.
No, एक Zelensky वहां
Oh,
पर है और एक हमारे यहाँ पे भी है ना.
ये
Same.
चूतिया. अच्छा, व्हाइट टी शर्ट वाला, उधर ग्रीन टी शर्ट, इधर व्हाइट टी शर्ट.
हाँ.
It's so disrespectful to Parliament coming in a t-shirt. You're disrespecting Indian democracy. Have some fucking sense of decorum.
So what do you think is going to happen to Imran Khan and?
जब ऑक्सफोर्ड जाता है, सूट बूट पहन के जाता है ना, हमारे लिए चप्पल टी शर्ट, उधर के लिए ऑर्डिनरी स्टूडेंट्स. हियर यू आर इन फ्रंट ऑफ द इलेक्टेड रिप्रेजेंटेटिव ऑफ पीपल एंड यू आर वेयरिंग टी शर्ट. उधर जाके सूट पहन रहे हो फॉर ऑर्डिनरी 2 कौड़ी का स्टूडेंट्स.
So by the way,
So
दीदी का एक जगह पे पूंछ पकड़ा है, आपको पता है ना, साकेत गोखले.
क्या?
ED files a case against him.
Yeah. Did ED
PMLA.
file a case against him?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I know the court
No,
said
ED
something.
today.
Fantastic.
हाँ, so
And
Ukraine.
so Ukraine में क्या होगा? If the Dems win, Ukraine continues, और क्या? If the Dems continue, okay, to be fair, Dems or Trump, they don't give a shit about Imran Khan. But Ukraine, if Trump comes, which I don't think is a possibility, they will go out of their way to rig or do whatever to defeat Trump. The Dems will ensure that Ukraine continues. Trump will end Ukraine very quickly. In fact, it was the moment Trump started leading the opinion polls is when Zelensky came and said, we're ready for peace talks with Ukraine, with Russia. The moment Harris took over, he launches an invasion of Russia.
Yeah, and he's going to get
By the
bedoured
way,
in it.
you have to at some point admire the Ukrainians holding their own against the Russians.
दम है यार, मजा आ जाता है देख के.
Fucking the Russians over by going. Who thought in our lifetime we would see a second battle of Kursk? Kursk is
Yeah.
it is the defining battle of World War II. World War II was decided at the Battle of Kursk.
Yeah. And then it just rolled over into Kiev and just went off. Khatam.
And after Kursk, it was just the end of the Wehrmacht.
Yeah.
Now, he's done this with just 11 tanks. He's threatened Kursk. Just 11 tanks.
That tells you there is.
And kitna with 11 tanks, I want to show you this on a map.
हाँ, बड़ा जबरदस्त है. 10 by 22 kilometers.
He's bloody threatening Belgorod. So,
Gone crazy.
Okay, let me bring this up.
Putin is going to pound him into smithereens. वो अलग है, but it's funny. I love it.
Now, can you see the map?
Yeah, I'm putting it up.
Okay. So this is Kursk. And
that is Ukraine.
This is Suzda. This is the line of the attack.
Yeah.
But Dekho, he is also with just 11 tanks. He's captured
taken that entire. Yeah.
And he's threatening both Kursk and Belgorod. और इधर का distance क्या है देखते हैं measure करके. Measure distance from here to Belgorod. 115 kilometer front he's threatening with just bloody 11 tanks, man. He's got some very, very big testicles.
Yeah. Whatever Serendan, the Ukrainians have fought themselves really well. I don't like the Ukrainians.
I support Ukraine's right to self-defense. Let's be very clear. And the Russian invasion is completely fucking illegal. Okay. But Ukrainians have a very serious Nazi problem. They have a very serious, very real problem of persecuting the Russian minorities. You just can't treat people like that.
Yeah.
That said, their military has acquitted themselves with nothing but honor in this.
Yeah. That is, you
can't Russia to a halt. And to then do a counter-attack. Phenomenal job.
दम है यार, लड़कों में दम है.
लड़कों में दम है.
And they do bloody crazy stuff.
And doing this after what, almost 2-3 years of war now.
3 years almost.
Yeah. 22 में हुआ था ना. 23, 24, हाँ.
आने वाला है, 3rd year. निकल जाएगा यार 6 महीने, So there are quite a bit of chats left. Let's just kind of rapid fire sort of a thing.
Rapid fire.
Dr. Saab, thank you. Agree with AIM on internal SOP to deter sexual criminals. IMA is trying to stay relevant. AIM will agree that a nationwide strike was required to bend the CM.
Yes.
Is it targeted towards the CM?
I don't think it's because nobody knows. See, why are you going on strike in Kerala to target the West Bengal CM? She won't feel the pressure at all. It inconveniences a whole load of innocent people for the crimes of a CM.
Yeah. That's true.
All the doctors in West Bengal should go on strike.
Yeah. Shashank Singh, 4-5 crore pedigree from Hindenburg to fake media. Yeah,
It'll be
that's
a
kind
lot
of money.
more. It'll be a lot more.
I'll send you an article that, this Bengali journalist has written, Salahuddin Chaudhary.
Hmm.
He's talking about millions and millions of dollars that have come in for the elections.
Yeah.
The guy is crazy, huh? That I mean, crazy in the sense, solid crazy. He's openly saying whatever he wants to, sitting in the middle of Dhaka. कर लो जो
Must,
करना है, बहस क्या देखता हूँ
must,
मैं.
must. Ekdam must.
Mr. Cringe, thank you. Why are you so Pax Americana? Because what I've noticed, Westerners are as xenophobic to Hindus as Chinese.
Mr. Cringe, have you lived abroad?
He
I
seems
have
to have.
lived in Moscow. I have lived in Vienna. I have lived in several cities in Australia. I've lived in several cities in America. There was one instance of racism, which was in a godforsaken outback town. Uh, Mostly, I used to be in the white man gang, and sometimes more often the question was, "How come you're not like other Indians?" And it's like, "What the fuck? That's so racist." And it was. It, I got where they were coming from. यार मैं घर में जाके करी खाता हूं, सरसों के तेल में बना हुआ करी. Your hands are going to stink. There is a washing protocol, there is a gargling protocol, there is a cleaning protocol. When your food is as bland as Western food, these things, you have a very finely tuned sense of smell and taste. It smells up the place. You have to look after that. See, you have to respect their sensibilities also,
Hmm.
and they're perfectly fine with you. So I don't know where you're seeing this racist this thing. I used to get a lot of curious questions, which I'd explain to them. I was
There is,
actually more, I'm
there
always
are
more,
incidents for sure.
no,
There are incidents for sure. There is, I mean, that
there
innate
is
sense of
undoubtedly racism.
superiority.
There is undoubtedly racism. There is undoubted a sense of superiority,
Hmm.
but they've earned that sense of superiority. They certainly don't have the kind of poverty you do. They have much higher living standards than you do. They have a right to their hum bhai. We are just way what, a few $100 per capita more than Pakistan, and our sense of superiority is so much greater than Pakistan. You think having $30,000 doesn't earn them a sense of superiority? I
One way of
spent a year in Tianjin,
Hmm.
so I've lived in China as well. My main reason I support Pax Americana is it is the same reason. It doesn't matter what the BJP does.
Pax Seneca, no
As
ways.
long as Rahul Gandhi is in charge, I will never vote for the Congress. I will pray for the BJP day and night. Unko gali bhi dunga, but I will only vote for them and pray for them. It is exactly the same. I know what China is, which is why no matter how bad America gets, I will constantly be praying for America and Pax America. It's that
Interesting.
simple. You think what America does to you is bad. Wait till you see what China does to you.
They are doing it constantly.
Yeah, they are.
Zikos, thank you. Pinaki was podcasting earlier. If we don't return Hasina, he would put Adolf Eichmann on us and pull an Adolf Eichmann on us and bring back Hasina. Yeah. Bangladesh will
तो
cease to
औकात
exist.
क्या है? 2 कौड़ी का चूतिया है.
Unknown gunman, thank you so much, sir. Shobit Singh ji, thank you. Prashant Dhawan sir put in a video saying Turkey may sell S-400 to Pakistan. Elaborate on this. It'll not happen.
They are just going to mothball it to try to get back into the F-35 program. और कुछ नहीं होगा.
They've already mothballed it. They've not even done trials of it.
They
So
just
they
did it
put,
to piss off the Americans, and very
yeah.
stupid. I don't know why they did it, because they can't integrate it with the rest of their systems anyway.
Now, if they give it to Pakistan, let's say in hell's cases, if they even give it to Pakistan, America will screw Pakistan inside out.
Yeah.
So there is that angle also. Soham Saab, thank you so much. Reuters report on Khalistan in Anglosphere and new trend accusing Indian origin and NRIs of transnational repression. Any thoughts? It's like
Look,
the Guardian.
so tell me, Soham, why are we so concerned about what the Western press says? Do they give a shit about what we write about them in our press? No. Why do you give them traction?
Can I add to what you're saying? We've been
Hmm.
screaming coup, coup, coup. US created a coup in Bangladesh. Trust me, it hurts them. This is an offensive, by the way. The government and downwards, everybody's saying the Americans played in this, right? So, and you're calling out America. So this
So,
is a lot of pressure
I've
internally there.
been talking to my friends in Washington, and they're like, how do they see us behind this? What's the evidence for this?
It's not the Americans, it's the deep, the bloody State Department, that silo which in the State Department which runs these very common interests of
Hmm,
these
I'm
gas
not
pipes.
even convinced about that. I think this was more of a case. See, with Ukraine, you can prove direct commission.
I will give you direct commission,
Yeah.
sir.
Okay, though,
I
because
will
I
give you.
haven't seen anything to
I will
show
give
me
you.
direct
I'll
commission
give you
yet.
direct commission.
Theek.
Uh, Sarvani ji, thank you. Problem in India is that the youth wants to earn money by becoming social media influencers, not by solving problems of the Indian society faces. This reflects on Shark Tank as well. Food and influencers based startups are more, very few tech.
Yeah, why are you surprised? India is not that great tech superpower that you see. Startup India, every second thing is cloud kitchen and achar.
Yeah. I'm happy some amount of defense is actually coming out. Those drones and all that is pretty cool.
Acha, I don't watch it. I've never watched it, but I see all the. See, my thing is Shark Tank India and
No,
Olympics.
no, I don't watch Shark Tank. No, 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 no. I'm talking about
I
the drone industry within India is coming out pretty well. So that's what I'm talking about.
So the one thing I'm very proud of is my friend Vrinda Kapoor and her company Third Eye Tech and 4AI, which is the only one named in the ISET document, which is doing fantastically well, and I'm super happy for her.
Done. Abhinav Saab, thank you. You say it is being claimed that the low yield tactical nukes have been used in the Russia Ukraine war. It's the case, no?
No, no.
That big explosion that came out on the border, the Russians threw one and then the Americans threw one. These are those Moabs sort of a thing.
Those the big FAB 12,000 or whatever the
We
hell it
tested
is.
one today, by the way. 2000,
Yes.
yeah, 2000 pounder
2,000
live.
pounder is just 110. But the Russian one is much heavier, no? It's like a
Yeah, they
seven,
are like
8,000 ton.
8,000 pounder. We can't carry that kind of a load on a single aircraft.
We can't.
Yeah, you can if you attach it to a C-130 and chuck it out from the back door.
Yeah, or a C-17 or an IL-76, you can.
Yeah.
But
We did that with AN-12s, by
even
the way. Huh?
even the Sukhoi centerline storage can take about 3 tons, but it can't take 8, 9 tons.
No, it'll take 6 tons, but it can't take it in one place.
Exactly. So that's what I said. The centerline storage can take 3, 4 tons,
Yeah.
but no more than 3, 4 tons.
Vidyabhushan Singh ji, thank you. Why Modi is not making top corrupt Congi politicians and top lawyers by activating multiple cases using ED, CBI, and state government? So they are busy in courts, Tariq pe Tariq.
By all he does is bulldozer. See, Yogi also comes with a timeout because he's got a limited set of tricks in his toolkit. And that toolkit is rapidly approaching the end of its utility. He's also not innovating to get into new toolkit.
The same
Bulldozer
story.
Baba, शुरू हुए bulldozer Baba, खत्म भी होंगे bulldozer Baba. He will not be then known as screwdriver Baba or aankh fodo Baba or anything like that.
Yeah.
Very limited set of tools rapidly reaching its expiry date.
Agreed. Shivamji, thank you. Is this the new government in Bangladesh same as the erstwhile East Pakistan from a geopolitical standpoint for India?
No, it's quite different, and for that you have to understand the origin of these three things. Muhammad Yunus is a zero political base joker.
Yeah.
He's just there because उन्होंने students को बढ़ाया चढ़ाया to be the mask of the actual protest. BNP are the people who fought for independence, got disenchanted by Mujib. People forget that Mujib was a horrible ruler. He declared a one party state, threw all the opposition in, and there was a massive famine on his watch in 1974, which led to the coup in 1975. And they thought he took secularism a bit too far. He didn't, but they thought it was too far for them. So you have shades. BNP is not as Islamist as the Jamaat-e-Islami. Jamaat-e-Islami are the actual Razakars, Bihari bastards, who supported. Either Biharis were the forefront of protecting Hindus. Those Muslim Bihari bastards went there and went around killing all Bengalis.
Yeah, yeah.
They are not even Bengalis out there. Here, Biharis are our joy and pride. And I'm not saying that sarcastically. I've said this before. To be an Indian is to be a Bihari. Bihar gave us the notion of India has come from Bihar. Okay. These bloody Razakar Bihari bastards, they supported the Pakistan army. Think about it logically. You're a Bihari in a Bengali speaking area. The Bengali no longer, before Islam over ethnicity, it suited you. The moment Bengal over religion, then you suddenly feel Bihari. Okay, so now they speak Bengali, that's fine. In those days, they did not. They've been persecuted as well by the governments in Bangladesh, and now they're taking out their revenge for it. These are actual Razakars.
Hmm. Project Smiling Buddha, thank you so much. Is it safe to travel to St. Petersburg next week? Yeah.
Perfectly. My friend just came back from St. Petersburg. He got me back some glorious caviar and things. In fact, because the tourist lines are much smaller at the Kremlin and St. Petersburg, I highly recommend you see the Rusky Museum and go see the Victor Vekselberg collection of Fabergé eggs. That is what possibly the most significant of all the collections you must see. You go to the Catherine Palace. My favorite has always been the Tauride Palace, but you also go to the Catherine Palace. You must go to Peterhof is a bit, I don't like Peterhof, but it's very grand, I guess. You must go to the Moika Palace on the Moika River. It is the family palace of the Osipovs, who were actually even richer than the Romanovs. And they were
Romanovs.
the ones who killed off Rasputin. It was Prince Osipov that killed off Rasputin. You must. The Osipov Palace is much, much more tasteful than any of the Romanov palaces. So there is a lot to see in St. Petersburg. Go there, enjoy. There's fantastic food in St. Petersburg. Go there and enjoy. It's perfectly safe going there.
And go to the Air and Space Museum as well. It's fantastic.
वो तो हर जगह मिल जाएगा. Moscow में I prefer the Moscow one anyway.
Yeah. Viz, thank you so much. What's your thought about the Illuminati? Please share.
I don't believe in them.
I don't either. Deep State, yes, but not the Illuminati. Austin Joseph, thank you. Thank you, Aadi sir, and thank you, Abhijit. With pleasure, always a pleasure to hear you both. What are the chances of Trump winning and Democrat will manipulate it again via mail ballot box? Thank you. I think
Male
you've kind of...
and illegal immigrants, remember that.
Yeah.
I give right now, I don't care even if the official polls show you Trump is leading 55 to Kamala 45. The Dems are going to win this.
True.
The entire system is too manipulated, corroded, and corrupt for the Dems not to win this.
I fear that, by the way. I fear that for the country. I like America as a country, not what they do, but just as a country, as a nation, they've done it well for themselves.
Americans in America are the nicest people you meet.
Yeah. No,
What
I don't
worries
like
me
the
is
State Department.
Yeah, I love defense. They're the most professional pro-India people you'll ever meet.
Yeah.
By the way, do you know defense shares its hatred of state?
Yeah, I know. I've said this multiple times on the show.
You know the kind of sessions I've had, the worst abuses for the State Department I've heard sitting in the Pentagon.
Yeah. So the State Department is doing all that. The defense is coming out and saying, yeah, listen, oh, sorry, there are delays in engines. Let's sign up the next deal. We'll figure this out.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
And look, they've always had a whole load of contempt for state because they believe state is trying to make a reason for its existence where it has none. Whereas defense is all about tangibles and deliverables.
Yeah. Ustad Twitteruddin Khan Saab कहते हैं, thank you. Firstly, do you really see a jihadi or Naxali takeover in large areas of India in the next 20-25 years? Not anymore, at least. Previously, I used to. Thank you so much. Babus need exam every 2 years, re-upping skills, failed 3 times and fired. Can we get Bangladesh, St. Martin to move refugees there and let failed Babu administer there as well?
This is a wet dream on, but
but there's
Look,
They,
you don't even need exams, but they should not be allowed to write exam 2 3 times. Once you get a cadre, you need to declare which cadre you want to join beforehand, and you should write a heavily specific exam. You shouldn't be allowed to take a generalized exam. You need to get into an extremely difficult specialist exams for each cadre. Uh, and you need to come up with accountability measures. Every policy should allocate, if this goes wrong, which particular post will be held responsible for it, and what are the failure standards for it. And there needs to be a docking of seniority, and there needs to be a grounds for sacking. I think that needs to be standardized in all those contracts. See, there's this notion that the government is the model employer. Nowhere does it say the government is a chutia employer. सब उसको चुतिया बनाते रहते हैं. Model employers can be a very strict employer as well. That is, for me, is a model employer. You know, my bosses, both my current boss at IPCS and my old boss at ORF, Sameer Saran, in private, I can get away with murder with them. I can give them gali galoch to their face, stick my middle finger up, insult everyone from their father to their great grandfather to their great great grandfather, crack the most off color jokes with them, drink up all their booze, eat up all their food, throw up in their car, no problem. Calm 100% hona chahiye. Outside of work, we will be informal, we will be we'll be friends. At work, we are not friends. At work, they are my boss, I am their employee, they are paying me, you better show gratitude for it and fucking concentrate on your work and do your work. Because if I fuck up, they won't think twice about sacking me. Now imagine I do so many tantrums throughout. I've been cancelled literally by everyone everywhere. But nobody has ever thrown me, neither ORF nor IPCS ever threw me out of a job, because I made myself so valuable that even if they get, boss, I've had people write in, senior government folk write in asking to have me sacked. And they'd be like, sorry, he's just too valuable to sack.
Parth Chopradi, thank you. Namaste to both of you. Why can't we promote writers which would write stories about caste saving another, vice versa, like caste cooperation? And once again, thank you. He says, just a reminder, yes, I saw your email again, brother. This time I will respond to you for what say. But writers and this and that, and I think the narrative is being set, right? When you're talking about the reservations and this and that, there's a whole, you can't just crack this because it's a very dicey sort of a thing to get into. Yeah. Shastriji, thank you. Putin is firing everyone. Is Russia collapsing?
Is he firing everyone? Who's he firing?
He's fired 2 people from that region.
Who?
The governor is not fired, by the way, but the governor, he told him, listen.
The real chutias, he never fired. Shoigu should have been fired. He was never fired. The head of intelligence should have been fired. He is never fired. He just finds scapegoats and fires them. I'm sorry, I'm not. See, this was a very important point that somebody made. Russia became great under Ivan the Terrible, under Tsar Peter the Great, under Tsarina Elizaveta and Tsarina Katharina and Tsar Alexander. Not because of Tsar Alexander, not because of Tsarina Katharina, not because of Tsarina Elizaveta, not because of Tsar Peter Romanov, not because of Tsar Ivan Grozny. They became great in spite of their czars, not because of their czars. The Russian fighter is a great fighter, not because of Putin, in spite of Putin.
That is there. He could have, I mean, I don't know what he's doing.
Putin, I'm sorry to say this, has come off as spectacularly incompetent in this entire thing. Will Russia win ultimately? Yes, because the power differential dictates it pretty much. And you know, we all know the West gets worn out very quickly in these wars. Russia will sustain it because as a matter of life and death, they'll sustain for 20, 30 years. They took 26 million dead in World War II. when their population was less.
Yeah.
Okay, they can take that punishment. The entire Russian psyche is a very gloomy sort of fatalistic psyche. I mean, you read Turgenev, you read Tolstoy, you read uh, Gorky. It's such a dark, depressing death. Let's just accept our fate.
It's
Life
gray.
is
That's how the country is, right? It's very gray
how
and
the country is. It's very grey. So it will be in spite of Putin. It will not be. Russia won World War II not because of Stalin, but in spite. In fact, Stalin, by purging the Red Army, hobbled it and hollowed it out. They
that's
won in
true.
spite of Stalin, not because of Stalin. Let's be very clear about this.
Next, Putin Yadav. Thank you. Can the BJP come to power in West Bengal?
हाँ 10-15 साल में. But see, they need to be out on the streets every day.
Yeah. Like Suvendu is doing, by the way.
He needs to be a lot more effective.
A lot more. Yeah.
He
That
needs
I
to
agree.
bring that to a stall every single day.
What the okay.
क्या हुआ?
Sorry. No, I moved something and my light just came off. Okay. E, thank you. Trump really fixed Middle East. Kamala screwed it.
Yes. Well, Biden screwed it.
Biden did. Yeah. Shahji, thank you. We're not acquiring Bangladesh in 71 a mistake. Can India not spin a narrative for a strategic interest, chicken's neck, or parts of Bangladesh now?
Bro, did you want to add? In those days, I think the population was about 90 million people in East Pakistan. You wanted to add 90 million Muslims to your population? Really?
Nope.
Really? Are you mad? No,
That's one of the reasons why I keep saying no to POK.
exactly.
Dipankarji, thank you. Mankind, thank you. Deep State is planning an operation like in Bangladesh. Please be aware. Yeah, we spoke about that. Joydeep Saab, thank you. From geopolitics perspective, what's stopping BJP Modi to take strict action against all connected to Soros or Hindenburg? Why not clean the house? SEBI is now going to ban Hindenburg. That's going to happen. Soros, I've said, declare him a terrorist.
They operate through proxies in the Indian stock market. So we'll never be able to trace those proxies properly. We don't have the kind of forensic financial intel we need. But yeah.
बना रहे हैं. FIU is getting made pretty well. Let's see if it actually happens. Real Sigma, thank you so much. And Noni Mouse, thank you so much. Hi, AM. Could you talk about the situation at Afpak border?
Very simple. The Taliban are highly progressive, secular, feminist in an Afghan context, brave people who should be friends of India. We should welcome them in Delhi. And I have always supported the Taliban. I think they are outstanding gentlemen. They have a sense of chivalry and honor. They make fantastic hash. And they make fantastic plov. So that's the situation on the Afghan-Pakistan border.
Yeah, and the Afghans have taken 6 posts in Waziristan.
And if any of you ever go to Fortis Gurgaon, spend a whole day in the lobby out there and you see how many Taliban VIPs come in.
Project Smiling Buddha. Traveling via land through Estonia. Beautiful route. Go ahead, do it. Same gentleman is going to St. Petersburg.
Ah,
Ratanji, thank you. Plant.
you are not allowed to cross from Estonia into St. Petersburg anymore.
I don't know that.
All those routes have been shut, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't know that.
Yeah, I think they've all been shut because there's an air, land, and sea transport ban to Russia right now. Only the train route that cuts across, I think, Lithuania into Kaliningrad enclave
Correct.
can
Train
take
route
an
is on.
limited air corridor there as well to go to Kaliningrad, and that's
Yeah,
about
yeah.
it.
The train route is on.
You better check this carefully, boss, because it's not allowed anymore.
Okay, last 3. Plant 88, what is your view on CSR policy? Also, if you can do a policy broadcast on CSR, ESG, BlackRock ecosystem and their agenda.
I have
Okay.
always opposed CSR, I have always opposed ESG, and I detest BlackRock. The only good BlackRock is a dead BlackRock. The only good ESG is a dead ESG. The only good CSR is a dead CSR.
Yeah.
There is no such thing as corporate social responsibility. The job of a corporation is to make money and pay its taxes. The job of the state is to tax companies moderately so that it doesn't stall their growth. And it is the government. Social responsibility is only of the government. The notion of corporate social responsibility, there is corporate ethical responsibility, that you have to uphold certain standards. You can't go around strip mining places, cause ecological damage and things like that. That I accept. But I will never accept corporate social responsibility. It's communism
Ab-
by other means.
Absolutely. If they want to do it, let them do it. That's not a problem. Kishan
And
Thakkarji,
who brought it, by the way? Wharton graduate Sachin Pilot.
pilot.
Wharton ye sikhata hai.
Yeah.
Never send your kids to Wharton. You'll get as bad an education as Sachin Pilot.
Kishan Thakkarji, thank you. Can you explain what Bhutan is doing as a threat to India? What has Myanmar done and what is toward China? I can't see either have done.
Bhutan is playing footsie with us. They've reached some kind of a private arrangement with the Chinese to take over land and enact a final settlement, and that will put us in a very difficult position, because one side of that salient for us, the chicken's neck, is the Sikkim salient, essentially, is Bhutan. Okay. We will now have the Chinese on all three, well, at least two sides of that salient, if they take over all the land that they're so-called illegally. But the Bhutanese don't want to acknowledge it. Till we put out satellite photos of it, the Bhutanese ambassador sitting in Delhi was denying it. And then once the photos were out, he couldn't deny it anymore. He ended up looking like a damn fool. I've been telling you this since day one. The Bhutanese are playing hopscotch with us. Something changed. After that 2017 episode, that wasn't Galwan, that was
Dolam.
Doklam. After the Doklam episode, something has changed out there. They are playing dirty by us. Get rid of the king. Get rid of him. Do to him what you did to Sikkim.
Right. And the last one, Ganja Lives Matter. Ganja is a city in Azerbaijan. Is that what you're talking about? Thank you. How to categorize insurgency and freedom movement?
An insurgency can also be part of a freedom movement. But a freedom movement using violence in a democracy is wrong. Using violence in a dictatorship, I can still understand it. But there is no insurgency that hasn't stepped the boundary, none that haven't stepped the boundary into outright terrorism, which is attacking civilians. Okay, it's a very strict definition of terrorism. It's not to be just bandied about like that, but
it's very difficult to. It's very difficult. It's, honestly, the context is what matters most. Where the context and
even there. So, for example, was the IRA an insurgency? Yes. Was the ETA an insurgency in Basque land? Yes. Was the Mukti Bahini an insurgency? Yes. Was the LTT an insurgency? Yes. Was the Khalistan Liberation Force an insurgency? Yes. Is Hizbul Mujahideen an insurgency? Yes.
No. If they are now, see, that's a thin line. If it comes from India, yes. If it comes from Pakistan, it's terrorism.
No. Hizbul Mujahideen is an insurgency, but they are also terrorists.
Yeah.
Because they go around killing innocent people. And this is where the moment an insurgency starts killing, if an insurgency can't restrict itself to military targets and it starts killing people, there is no insurgency on earth that hasn't killed innocent people, and including the Mukti Bahini. And therefore, technically, they're also all terrorists.
It's very difficult. The definition of terrorism, ladies and gentlemen, try and define it. People who conduct. It's not.
The best definition of terrorism was actually the OIC definition of terrorism. Do you know that? They came up with this in their 1993, 94.
I like the one that India has done, by the way, in the BNS. They've defined it very well.
मेरे को भेजना please.
हाँ,
And what happens is they realize that all of them would be guilty of it, so they quietly dumped it. It was never seen after that first OIC draft.
yeah.
And in fact, the Israeli definition of terrorism is verbatim. They openly they giggle and chuckle and tell you our definition of terrorism is actually the OIC definition of terrorism. The OIC came up with it. We couldn't better it. It was a fantastic definition.
Abhijit Saab, thank you so much. Lovely to actually have you. There are two more chats. Let me just acknowledge their contribution. Amesh ji and Karthikeyan Saab, thank you, both of you. We have literally gone beyond our normal timeline, but it's a great conversation always to have sit down and have different views from a different place, from a different time.
Oh damn,
Always
we
match up.
2 hours.
Yeah, that's what. This was a great conversation.
Yeah, this
Fantastic.
was
This is fun. It didn't really seem that long. And by the way, we've had between 4,600 to 4,700 people sitting through the time.
damn.
It's, when I said thank you, that people started falling down. Otherwise, between 4.6 to 4.7 was sitting with us. So great conversation. Thank you so much. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.
Tata, bye.